Hello and welcome to our webinar, Thrillers, True Crime, and Mysteries, Oh My. I'm Annie Bostrom, Senior Editor for Adult Books at Booklist. Before we begin, I'd like to go over some technical details. Links to today's slide presentation and title list were included in the reminder email you received from Zoom 1 hour ago. To download them, please open that email, scroll to the bottom, and click on the links located there. You can also download the slides and title list by copying the URLs on this screen into your web browser. If you have any trouble accessing these materials, please contact us at webinars@booklistonline.com. The audience is in listen-only mode today, but we welcome any questions you may have. On the bottom of your screen is a toolbar with a button for Q&A. If you have a question or need technical assistance, simply click Q&A and type your message into the box that appears. We will do our best to respond to all tech-related questions and will pass along all other questions to today's panelists so they can follow up with you after the webinar. Booklist offers closed captioning on all webinars. To enable or disable captions on your screen, please look for and click the captions icon on the toolbar mentioned earlier. From there, you can select show or hide captions from the menu that appears. If you choose to enable subtitles, you can adjust the size of the captions at any time by selecting subtitle settings. And finally, Booklist expects all participants to maintain an atmosphere of respect and fairness. Anyone who violates this standard of behavior, including engaging in any form of harassment, may, at the discretion of the organizers, be immediately removed. Today, we have the pleasure of hearing from Abigail Miles, Sales and Marketing Associate at CamCat Books, Samantha Slavin, Associate Manager for Macmillan Library Marketing, Elham Ali, Trade Marketing Lead for ECW Press, Dulce Botello, Marketing Assistant at Crooked Lane Books, and Jolene Bartow, Marketing Director at Dreamscape Publishing. First, we'll hear from Abigail Miles. Abigail is the Sales and Marketing Associate at CamCat Books. She helps promote books through social media, newsletters, advertisement, and more. She's also an in-house proofreader. Abigail holds a BA in creative writing and a BA in mathematics from Appalachian State University. She spends all her free time baking, drinking too much tea, listening to ridiculous podcasts, and trying desperately to keep up with her reading challenge. Take it away, Abigail.
Hi, thank you so much. I was just introduced. I'm Abigail. I'm the Sales and Marketing Associate at CamCat Books, and I'm excited to be talking about some of our mystery and thriller titles. So next slide. Our first title here is The Dollmaker by Morgan Shanney. This is a historical mystery title. It takes place in the 1920s in Newport, Rhode Island, where a new serial killer called the Dollmaker has been targeting women and creating grotesque art from the bodies he leaves behind. So now it's up to Dawn, the protagonist, with her medical knowledge to find the murderer and put a stop to the killings. This is a mystery that is loosely inspired by the ballet Coppelia and largely is a book that highlights women power as a main theme. Next slide. The next title is The Murder of Madison Garcia by Marcy McCreary. This is the second book in the Ford Family Mystery series, following the disappearance of Trudy Solomon. Both of these are standalone titles, though, so you can read them in either order. It won't matter. It is a classic detective whodunit case that focuses on police detective Susan Ford as she teams up with her father, retired Detective Will Ford, to tackle another case. In this instance, the murder of a young woman, where new mysteries and crimes align with long buried secrets. And it's just a great continuing of this mystery series. Next slide. This one is the Lewis Sinclair and the Gentleman Cowboys by D.M.S. Fick. It is her debut novel, and it is a very, very fun book with a great blend of mystery, humor, romance, and action elements all blended together to make this a really great summer diversion. So in Lewis Sinclair and the Gentleman Cowboys, country musician Lewis Sinclair gets dumped by his girlfriend right before taking the stage at a top music festival. The man she dumped him for was his manager, who later turns up dead at the festival, with Lewis becoming the primary suspect. It is a fun and fast-paced murder mystery and would be the perfect beach read. Okay, next slide. This one is The Wayward Target by Susan Ouellette. It is the third book in the award-winning and highly praised Wayward series, so it follows the Wayward Spy and the Wayward Assassin. The series as a whole focuses on CIA intelligence analyst Maggie Jenkins, and the Wayward Target finds Maggie with a price placed on her head by a dangerous terrorist, causing Maggie to have to go into hiding and fight for her life. So the author of this series, Susan Ouellette, brings a lot of authenticity to the series, having herself worked with the CIA as an intelligence analyst and on Capitol Hill in the past, which is when she conceived of the character of Maggie Jenkins, who is an intrepid young woman who's been thrust into this dangerous world born of tragedy and political espionage. And it's just a very thrilling spy series all around. And next slide. Okay, this one is Citizen Orlov by Jonathan Payne. This is his debut novel, and it's a really fun one. This is a spy thriller spoof that takes a darkly comedic approach to the spy genre, which makes it at once a thrilling and humorous read. So in this book, we follow Citizen Orlov in an unnamed Eastern European country. So Citizen Orlov is an unassuming fishmonger and an upstanding citizen, just a normal guy who happens to answer a mysterious phone call one day, and as a result is catapulted into a web of espionage and political maneuverings completely without intending to. So it is a genre-defying book that will have readers riveted as they're following along with this simple fishmonger's tale of mistaken identity. Next slide. This one is The Horoscope Writer by Ash Bishop. So Ash Bishop has formerly written a science fiction book called Intergalactic Exterminators Incorporated, which very recently won an Audie Award, which we're very excited about. But The Horoscope Writer is Ash Bishop's first foray into the mystery genre, and it's a very exciting and interesting mystery take as it follows Bobby Friendly, who is an ex-Olympian turned novice horoscope writer for a local press, who starts receiving very gruesome, highly detailed horoscope predictions from a mysterious anonymous source with a chilling ultimatum attached to them that he should print the horoscopes and one will come true, or if he ignores them, all of them will. So readers will enjoy trying to parse fact from facade alongside the intrepid reporter of Bobby in this book, where nothing is quite as it seems and everything is suspicious. Okay, next slide. Okay, this title is Summer People by Sarah Hosey. This is a young adult mystery. It's actually our first young adult mystery, so we're very excited about it. In this book, we follow 17-year-old Christmas Miller as her summer is turned upside down after she discovers a body floating face down in her community's lake. Christmas has to face the fact that all is not as it seems in her beloved idyllic community, and she sets out to uncover the truth of what is really happening in her town. It's a book primarily about finding your voice and speaking up, even in the most trying of circumstances. Okay, next one. This is Fool Her Once by Joanna Elm. This book actually recently came out in trade paperback, and then all of the titles in the rest of these slides are already available, but the trade paperbacks either are just come out or are about to come out. So Fool Her Once is a twisty domestic thriller that asks whether there is such a thing as a psychopathic gene, or whether the idea is nothing but a self-fulfilling prophecy. So in this book, investigative reporter Jenna Sinclair is convinced that the man who attacked her former lover is now stalking her family and has to find the man she exposed as a serial killer's illegitimate son, only to realize that this trace leads to a devastating discovery. The author, Joanna Elm, drew upon her own background as an investigative reporter in order to create the vivid backdrop of the destructive world of sensational tabloid journalism that we see in this domestic thriller of Fool Her Once. Next slide. Okay, this book is Death Warrant by Brian Johnston, which was Brian Johnston's debut novel. It is coming out in trade paperback next week, actually. This is a really interesting and unique one. It's a techno thriller, sci-fi thriller that takes place in a very near future society in which the most popular television show is called Death Warrant. And on the show, people can sign up, essentially, they sign their lives away with receiving lots of money in return in order to be killed on live television. So it's the most popular TV show, and the main character is a mentalist named Frankie who agrees to be assassinated on this show, with the stipulation being that as soon as she signs her life away, her memory of the whole arrangement is erased from her mind. So she can't remember that she did it. So then Frankie resumes her life as if nothing has happened, completely unaware that anyone she meets could be her assassin. This book is up as a finalist for a couple of different awards right now, including the Benjamin Franklin Awards and the Forward Indie Awards. It's an unexpectedly funny and thrilling book and just a wild ride all around. Next slide. This one is Thunder Road by Colin Holmes. It's another debut that is also about to come out in trade paperback. This one is a genre bender that blends history, noir mystery, and also a dash of sci-fi in there. It takes place in 1947 in the Dallas-Fort Worth area of Texas, along the iconic Thunder Road area. So in this book, we see a combination of a lot of historic events and characters, many of which touch on reality and things and people that really happened, but with Colin Holmes asking questions of what if all of these people and places and events were connected in other ways? What if there is more to the story? So it's a book that would be great for any conspiracy mystery fans or fans of historical fiction with speculative twists, where everything gets tied up together really nicely by the end in this riveting noir mystery. Next slide. Okay, this one is None Without Sin by Michael Bradley, which is a mystery novel that is also coming out in trade paperback soon. In this book, we see a small town where a serial killer is using the symbolism of sin eating as their calling card. So in case you don't know, because I did not before reading None Without Sin, sin eating was considered the lowest of the low in Victorian era societies, and were people who lived in immense poverty who would partake in a ritual meal in order to absorb the sins of the deceased. So in None Without Sin, we follow a journalist and a minister who are on a race to end the murderous spree of a serial killer whose calling card is a loaf of bread, evoking the Victorian symbolism of sin eating, trying to keep their own sins a secret in the process. Next slide. And then this is our last title for the day. It is Heroes Ever Die by J.A. Crawford. This is the second book in the Ken Allen Super Sleuth series, so it follows Joe Brandes' near death. And then the third book, King Me, comes out in November. They're all standalone mysteries, so you can read them in any order, but they're all action-packed and super fun, and they follow a D-list actor turned private eye who investigates these high-profile cases. So J.A. Crawford, the author, lightly pokes fun at Hollywood and different fandoms in each of his books, this one addressing the superhero franchises like what we see with the MCU or DC, and how creators, primarily comic book creators, don't always get the credit they deserve for their work. So in Heroes Ever Die, when actors who play iconic superheroes and big screen blockbusters start dying on set, Ken Allen steps in to try and figure out what's killing all the superheroes. Next slide. And that's all of the titles we have today. Thank you so much for listening. You can reach out to us with any questions. Laura, our sales and marketing director, is emails up there, or you can email me at abigail@camcatpublishing.com and find us on Edelweiss. And yeah, thank you for listening.
Thank you so much, Abigail. We will now hear from Samantha Slavin. Samantha is the Associate Manager for Macmillan Library Marketing. After graduating from Tulane University in New Orleans in 2019, Samantha made her way back home to NYC and joined the Macmillan Library marketing team, where she's been ever since. Samantha takes her yearly reading challenges very seriously, ever since her childhood spent exploring NYPL branches, and is always giving book recommendations for friends and family. Samantha loves anything general fiction, mystery, thriller, romance, and memoir. Thanks for being here today, Samantha.
Thank you, Annie. So again, I am Samantha Slavin, Macmillan Adult Library Marketing Associate Manager. Here are all the ways you can get in touch with us. We love hearing from you, so please reach out with any questions, concerns, or requests. Next slide. And if you'd like to download Macmillan eGalleys on Edelweiss, here is how you can also find all these instructions on our website. Next. Happy Half Hour. This is our weekly book talking series airing every Monday at 4 p.m. Eastern, where we highlight upcoming adult and YA titles, and sometimes we have a few special guest authors coming on. And we'll be back next Monday, so join in for that. Next slide. And now to the books. Mrs. Plansky's Revenge is first. This is the first in a new series from Spencer Quinn, creator of Chet the Dog. Mrs. Plansky's Revenge is a really lighthearted, funny mystery for fans of killers of a certain age, Frederick Backman's beloved characters, and all with a little sprinkle of some TJ Klune. Stephen King even said, "I absolutely adored this book, really fun, but with a few teeth as well. Mrs. Plansky is a terrific character. The story ticks along like a good watch." And in it, we have recent widow Mrs. Plansky settling into her retirement home in Florida when one late night she gets a phone call from someone claiming to be her grandson who desperately needs her help and a big lump of money. So of course, like the grandmother she is, she says yes. But by the time she wakes up in the morning, everything she had to her name is gone and she wants revenge. And along the way, she may also get a new lease on life at the same time. Next. The guest room. Okay, get ready for this one because you will never want to stay in an Airbnb again. When a woman is forced to rent out her late sister's old room to pay the bills, the urge to rummage through her guest belongings overtakes her every thought. As she's looking through her current guest stuff, she finds a diary that chronicles his infatuation with a beautiful stranger. It, of course, appears harmless at first, slowly taking a dark turn, more menacing with every new entry. And as she continues to peruse his diary, she can't help but notice the similarities between the woman on the page and herself, leaving her to wonder who has truly been watching whom. Give this debut to fans of You, The Woman in the Window, and The Paris Apartment. Next. North of Nowhere is the perfect wilderness mystery that will keep you up all night. This is Ozark meets Succession, filled with complex family dynamics, gorgeous storytelling, and unforgettable characters in a race against time and a battle against the elements. It's about siblings Kristen and Ryan who have been hiding from their murderous father, and now he has finally tracked them down and is on his way to get them. This is a true cat and mouse thriller. Next. Speak of the Devil. This is another debut. This book has such a juicy plot. Think John Tucker Must Die. It is New Year's Eve, 1999. 7 women surround a dead body. Each of them has a reason to hate the man, but which of them didn't? Combining the impeccable plotting and intimate character work of Tana French with the gut-punching emotional reckoning of My Dark Vanessa, this is a dark whirlpool of a read that will suck you in and refuse to let go. Next. The Block Party. At an annual block party in an upscale suburban neighborhood, someone is murdered. But who did it and why takes readers back to 1 year earlier as rivalries and betrayals unfold. This book is perfectly crafted to appeal to summer suspense readers, those who love Ruth Ware, Riley Sager, and our very own Sandy Jones. Next. The Continental Affair combines 1960s European flair with suspense and motion with the story of 2 strangers traveling alone on the train from Belgrade to Istanbul, except this isn't the first time they've met. As the train hurtles toward its final destination, their secrets unravel and they must decide what the future will hold and whether it involves one another. Next. The Trade-Off. Sandy Jones is back with a gripping new suspense novel set in the midst of London's tabloid journalism scene. When a jaded reporter gets a juicy tidbit about a beloved TV personality, she doesn't hesitate to splash it across the front pages. However, the woman, devastated by the shame of the expose, kills herself. She starts to question herself for the first time and soon learns that what the paper published is only half the story. Sandy Jones spent 2 decades as the British tabloid reporter herself, and her takes on the fake news phenomenon and the shocking lows the tabloid press will stoop to for an addictive, truly ripped from the headlines domestic thriller shows here. Next. The Wonder State. Sarah Flannery Murphy is the author of Girl One, and here she brings a new gothic Nancy Drew-esque novel that is a modern speculative bridge to Terabithia, so all of the best things. Sarah has her trademark magic and mayhem, but in this novel, she adds a lot of longing, hope, and wonder to keep it true to the name. with 5 friends who are called back to the small town they fled after high school after vowing to never go back, but they have each received a cryptic note saying, "You promised." None have been back since that life-changing summer 15 years ago that no one speaks of, but Brandy is calling, and now Brandy is missing, leaving them all to wonder what really happened to her. This is a very twisty and thought-provoking story with a unique form of magic, and is overall a tale about friendship and power. And next, Dark Corners. Rachel Crawl, the true crime podcaster star of Megan Golden's Library Reads Pick Night Swim, returns to search for a popular social media influencer who disappeared after visiting a suspected serial killer. This book takes a deep dive into the cutthroat world of influencers, a world of fierce rivalry that may have turned lethal, and the very real dangers that lurk in the dark corners of the internet. This is perfect for fans of Alice Feeney. And next slide. So here we are highlighting some favorite authors that you may have heard of before. First up is Alice Feeney with Good Bad Girl. From bestselling author Alice Feeney comes another thrilling story where nobody can be trusted. This one looks at how mother-daughter relationships can go right, but how they can also go so very wrong, with a baby stolen from a stroller and 4 women who become tangled in a complicated web of mystery. And Gone Tonight, one of the co-authors of The Golden Couple, The Wife Between Us, and more, is back with a solo outing about a mother's secrets to protect her daughter and what happens when they begin to unravel. Cutting Teeth. Reese Pick and Good Morning America book club pick Chandler Baker returns with a funny, daring mystery about what happens when 10 preschoolers with an odd craving for blood are the only witnesses to a murder. And the last one here is Looking Glass Sound. In a cottage overlooking the windswept Maine coast, Wilder Harlow begins the last book he will ever write. It is the story of a sun-drenched summer of his youth and of the killer that stalked the small New England town, of the terrible tragedy that forever bonded him with his friends Nat and Harper in unknowable ways, and of a horror that has followed them over the years. But as he writes, Wilder begins to fear his grip on the truth is fading. He is no longer able to trust his own eyes, and Wilder begins to fear that this will not only be his last book, but the last thing he ever does. Next. And here are some fun series. First up is Flop Dead Gorgeous. First of all, just a moment for the fluffer on the cover of this one. I'm obsessed with it and all of David Rosenfeld's covers. This is the next Andy Carpenter book with a mini French poodle who was adopted by a famous actress and now lives life in the spotlight. But when her owner is accused of murdering her co-star, Andy just so happens to be the right guy for the job. Next is An Evil Heart. Kate Burkholder is back as she responds to a call of an Amish man who has been violently killed, his body found abandoned on a dirt road. It's weird because he was well liked by everyone, came from a very upstanding Amish family, and was only 20 years old during his murder. But as Kate starts to dig deeper and gets to know his friends and family and learn more about him, it seems that there's a little bit more to the story than she originally thought. And The Wayward Prince. This is the 7th installment in the Daughter of Sherlock Holmes series, which takes us to the height of the Great War when a prince goes missing, and what ensues is a race against time to rescue our prince. And the last one here is Deadlock. The gatekeeper introduced the world to Des Limerick, a man with a shadowy past, a winning smile, a bass guitar, and bullet wounds that paint a roadmap of past lives. And now he returns to battle a massive corporation with ties and resources that dwarf most nations. And next slide. And that is all for me today. I hope you found some thrilling mysteries to pick up. As a reminder, most of these are available to download on Edelweiss and NetGalley. And feel free to reach out to me with any request. Again, here's all of our information. Thank you so much for tuning in.
Thank you so much, Samantha. We will now hear from Elham Ali. Elham joined ECW Press as senior publicist in 2020 and has been serving as the trade marketing lead since 2021. Thanks for being here today, Elham.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for having me. My name is Elham and I work at ECW Press. And so next slide, please. Because we are a Canadian indie, I always like to start with an introduction. ECW is one of the largest independent publishers in Canada. We've published over nearly 1,000 titles over almost 50 years. And our thing is that we have something for everyone. We publish just an incredible spectrum of books that cover fiction, nonfiction, poetry, everything you can think of. And this season is actually a pivotal one for us because it marks even more growth in the diversity of our list. We're really committed to making our books more diverse and incorporating more genre fiction into our list so that, again, we can reach even more readers. Accessibility and sustainability are two core values at ECW. So in 2022, we became a certified B Corp. And since 2021, we've been Benetech Global Certified Accessible, which just means that all of our ebooks are screen reader friendly. We're also one of the largest audiobook producers in Canada. So all the books that I mentioned today are going to be available in print, accessible ebook, and audio. Next slide, please. So just some contact info. As the trade marketing lead, my job is to get to know you librarians as much as possible. So if there's ever a book that you are looking for, whether it's an ARC or an author that you particularly like, please do get in touch. Next slide. So now let's get into the books. The first two I wanted to talk about are just some examples of series that you can really sink your teeth into. The first is Six Ostriches, a Dr. Bannerman vet mystery. This series follows the quiet and contemplative Dr. Peter Bannerman, whose obsession with logic and facts make him a great veterinarian, but now he has to use those same skills in order to solve mysteries that have a beastly twist. So whether you're talking about a swine barn explosion in 54 Pigs or a series of animal mutilations in Six Ostriches, Dr. Peter Bannerman is always there to solve the mystery, with the help of his sniffer dog Pippin by his side to help him sniff out clues. This is a really lovely, cozy mystery series that's informed by Philip's more than 3 decades working in the vet business. It's perfect for fans of quirky sleuths, fans of the Thursday Murder Club or the Chocolate Cream Pie Murder, the kind of mysteries with unexpected detectives and skills that you really wouldn't think would come in handy for solving crimes. The series has been really well received and PW has praised both books. Recently, Six Ostriches got a starred review and they called Peter Bannerman a charming and idiosyncratic creation. Animal lovers will also be big fans of this series, and Philip as a whole, he's just an absolute monster when it comes to writing. And his nonfiction series, this is The Accidental Veterinarian, is really great companion reading. You get to read some of his own stories as a veterinarian alongside these mysteries. Next slide, please. Next, we have the Epitome Apartments mystery series. The third one, He Wasn't There Again Today, is coming out this fall. These are written by Candace Jane Dorsey, an award-winning author, community activist, and advocate who lives in Edmonton, where the series is set. This is another quirky series, but it's a little less cozy than the Dr. Peter Bannerman books. It's got more touches of classic noir. Our hero is a nameless, grammar-obsessed, pansexual social worker turned sleuth who operates in the city's underbelly in order to solve the mysteries that no one else will. So in the first book, The Adventures of Isabel, it deals with the death of a sex worker that police are writing off as a random act of violence. In book 2, she's helping a friend with not one, but 2 violent stalkers. And the upcoming third book deals with the murder of a homeless man in her own community. So it's a socially conscious series that also is still very fun and playful. The protagonist is very charming and witty and whip smart. The Ottawa Review of Books called her a Canadian Lisbeth Salander. And she's also got an animal sidekick, but this is Bunnywit, a cat who is more there for vibes than actual usefulness. Books 1 and 2, I should say, are standalones, while book 3 follows up directly the events of book 2. This is another hit series that has garnered a lot of awards and praise. Kirkus called it relentlessly clever. PW said that fans of unconventional mysteries will be richly rewarded with this series. And What's the Matter with Mary Jane recently won the 2022 Whodunit Award for Best Traditional Mystery with the Crime Writers of Canada Award. The series has also been featured on the top 10 best crime novels in Germany, and it was a Sunday Times Crime Club pick. So if you're looking for something a little bit more fun, like a neo-noir mystery with a conscience and lots of queer characters, then you will love this series. Next slide, please. Now we're moving into standalone books. The Get a Crime novel by Dietrich Kaltiste is a hard, fast, and fun crime caper set in the 1960s. Our main character, sort of like anti-hero, is Lenny, a ruthless gangster who's also a little in over his head. He spends his days bullying local businesses for protection money, but is also racking up his own debts. And his wife, Paulina, is tired of his lies and demands a divorce. But Lenny knows that if she takes half of everything, it's going to land him in some trouble with the loan sharks. So he decides to come up with a surefire plan to deal with his marital and money issues all in one go. And what could possibly go wrong? This is another fun one. Publishers Weekly called it captivating and irreverent. And it's really reminiscent of like a Coen Brothers film. It's got that dark humor to it. If you're looking for a new favorite crime author, then honestly look no further because Dietrich's backlist runs deep. Since 2014, he's been publishing almost a book a year. He's won multiple independent publishing awards, and in 2022, he won the Crime Writers of Canada Best Novel Award for Under an Outlaw Moon. All his books are different, but the fast pacing, fantastic writing, deep characters, and explosive plots are always a guarantee. Next slide, please. The Winter Night by Jess Battys is a modern Arthurian retelling with a mystery at its heart. Set in modern Vancouver, this is a world where the Knights of the Round Table are alive and well until someone starts killing them. Leading the investigation is Hildy, a Valkyrie, whose prime suspect is Wayne, an autistic college student who really wants nothing to do with his medieval lineage. He's just trying to make it in a world that wasn't designed for him, and maybe explore things with the dean's cute assistant, Bert, who is also Bertilac, the Green Knight. Now he has to work with Hildy to clear his name and find out who is doing the killings before the bodies really start piling up. Jess Battys is the author of the Occult Special Investigator series, and the really cool thing is that they teach queer and trans studies, medieval literature, and representation of disability and neurodiversity in pop culture at the University of Regina. So they got to take all of their areas of expertise and combine them into this wonderful book that has gotten positive reviews in Library Journal, Publishers Weekly, and Booklist, who have all really praised the authentic representation of queer and neurodiverse characters. The book was featured not once but twice in Goodreads books. They called it fresh and super entertaining, and was one of Goodreads' biggest new fantasy and sci-fi books for the spring. This is an adult series, but Wayne and a lot of the characters are college age, so there's some YA crossover, and like the Booklist reviews highlights, young readers will find a lot to relate in Hildy and Wayne. Next slide, please. The last two books are a little bit darker, a little more serious than the four that I've spoken about already. The first is Sunsetter by Curtis LeBlanc. This is a fast-paced literary thriller, a kind of prairie noir, as award-winning author Sam Weeb put it, that tackles pressing issues like the opioid crisis, police brutality, the decimation of small towns, and the dangerous restlessness of the youth who live there, who feel like all their opportunities have been stripped away. Set in the fictional town of Perrin, every year the Sunsetter Rodeo in Midway comes through the town and is really the heart and the highlight of the year. The novel follows two teens, Dallin and Hannah, who on the rodeo's opening night are caught up in a pair of suspicious deaths. And so driven by their grief and their anger, they decide that they're going to do whatever it takes to uncover the criminal truth of their town. And that puts them up against some very formidable enemies. The novel is set over 3 days and weaves together the perspectives of Dallin, Hannah, and a corrupt police deputy, and the result is this incredibly taut cinematic crime thriller that will surprise you and keep you hooked until the explosive ending. This is perfect for fans of Euphoria or Long Bright River by Liz Moon, as well as Sundown Motel by Simone James. Next slide, please. Finally, The Trauma Beat, A Case for Rethinking the Business of Bad News by Tamara Cherry. This is actually a nonfiction book that combines journalism and memoir to create this eye-opening expose about the link between crime coverage and trauma. So Tamara Cherry, the author, spent 15 years as a crime reporter in some of Canada's biggest newsrooms. And over time, she starts to notice the mental and emotional toll that the job is taking on her and her colleagues. Because the fact of the matter is we do not treat crime well in the media, whether you're talking about up-to-the-minute interviews where victims literally walk out of crime scenes and are faced with a wall of cameras and microphones, dogged journalists who are always looking for a soundbite, fictionalized TV series that cut too close to the heart, or even amateur true crime amateur true crime podcasts that reopen old wounds. The only thing that any of these serve to do is re-traumatize victims. And then on the other side of the cameras, the microphones, our endless fascination with crime is leading to traumatized journalists. Whether we're talking about murders or car crashes or sexual violence, the media system is only set up to fail both victims and journalists. Tamara now runs a communications company that advocates for victims, and in this book you follow her journey as she comes to terms with the negative side of her work, learns about trauma-informed journalism, and is now actively working to demand a better way forward. This is a raw and reflective book that will definitely stay with you. Next slide. Thank you. That's all I have. So you can definitely check out our Edelweiss or our website to see more of our list. Again, this series is a real game changer for us, as well as a lot of crime fiction. We're also really expanding into sci-fi and fantasy. So I wanted to invite you all on June 7th. We'll be doing a webinar with Overdrive where we'll be talking more about our SFF and speculative fiction. So please shoot me an email if you'd like to attend that, and I'd love to send you the information. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Elham. We'll now hear from Dulce Botello. Marketing assistant Dulce graduated with a BA in Arts, Media, and Entertainment from the University of Arizona and with an MS in Publishing from NYU. She has previously worked at Core Press, a nonprofit feminist publisher, and for Macmillan Publishers in the Special Sales Department. Dulce loves to read everything and anything that lands on her lap, but has a special affinity for dystopian stories, thrillers, and the occasional fantasy. Thanks for being here today, Dulce.
Hi, everyone. My name is Dulce, and I'm the Marketing and Publicity Assistant at Crooked Lane Books. Crooked Lane launched in 2015 and publishes all things crime. We do cozy mysteries, thrillers, suspense, historical crime, and this year we published our very first true crime. I'm so excited to tell you about some of our summer and fall 2023 titles today, so we can jump right in. Next slide, please. First up, we have No Reserve by Felix Francis, best-selling author and son of the famous Dick Francis. No Reserve is Felix's 13th Dick Francis novel, following Iced and Hands Down. It publishes in September. This new installment leads readers into the dark and thrilling world of horse gambling. In the vein of Clive Cussler and Michael Connolly, this action-packed crime novel will keep readers on the edge of their seats and racing through the pages. Booklist called Iced brilliant all around, and the New York Times named Francis' series irresistible. Next slide, please. Out of the Dawn by PC Cast is the breathtaking conclusion to her post-apocalyptic fantasy duology. Practical magic meets Station 11 as Mercury Rhodes and her community of women must use their newfound powers to fight for a new matriarchal world. PC Cast thousands of House of Night fans were beyond thrilled to read Into the Mist last year, and they're anxiously awaiting its sequel, coming this August. At its heart, Out of the Dawn is about friendship and community, as well as finding strength and courage in the face of fear. I couldn't put this one down, and I can't wait to share the story's conclusion with your readers. Next slide. Next up, we have The Sight by Melanie Golding, publishing in September. Look into her eyes, she can tell you how you'll die. Melanie Golding has become a fan favorite author among crime readers looking for books that straddle the line between reality and the supernatural. With The Sight, Melanie has done it again, offering a slow burn drama wrapped in chilling suspense and an eerie carnival setting. As a child, Fate acquired the ability to see when and how people would die. It was a gift she neither wanted nor could get rid of. Eventually, she is banned from the traveling carnival she calls home and must make her own way. But when she sees herself in a man's future death, she must face her own fears and finally tune into her gift. For fans of Stranger Things, The Sight is a suspense-driven masterpiece with an ending that will leave you stunned. Next slide, please. For fans of Colson Whitehead and Wild Woman in the Blues, Viper's Dream by Jake Lamar is a gritty, daring look at the vibrant jazz scene of mid-century Harlem and one man's dreams of making it big and finding love in a world that wants to keep him down. Viper's Dream is a fast-paced story charged with suspense, featuring a snappy, provocative voice Jake LaMarr has managed to bring the Harlem of the 1930s, 40s, and 50s alive through his intriguing anti-hero and mysterious femme fatale. Stephen Mac Jones described Hyperstream as having dark poetics, magical prose, and meticulous storytelling. He said it was a revelation. We read this novel, I read it in one sitting, and it stuck with me for weeks. I couldn't stop thinking about Lamar's transportive prose and bold, vivid characters. It's one that I know historical crime readers are going to be getting in line for this September. Next slide, please. Catherine A. Olson's October debut, Close Enough to Hurt, features revenge for hire vigilante lady justice as she takes down predatory men for her clients. Dylan Truman, or Lady Justice, is the bane of every grifter, cheater, and bully in the San Francisco area. She and her hacktivist best friend Daniel, who she might have feelings for, work together to take down bad men. But when a new client brings her a fraud complaint against pharmaceutical CEO Brett Wilder, Dylan's business becomes personal. Years earlier, Wilder assaulted Dylan's sister and got away with it, and now it's time to make him pay. This sticky clawed cat and mouse thriller is perfect for fans of revenge and promising young women. It's a triumphantly feminist tale of revenge and retribution, full of morally gray characters and relentless action. Next slide, please. Next, I'm so excited to tell you about two Scandinavian noir releases from some of Denmark's most beloved crime writers. Ruthless by Anne Mette Hancock is the third Calden and Schaefer thriller featuring journalist Eloise Calden. This time, when a dying elderly man gives a deathbed confession too unbelievable to be true, Eloise knows there is a deeper story to uncover. The more questions she asks, the more she realizes this is a darker and far more complicated investigation than she thought. Everyone seems to be lying, and Eloise is unsure what else the old man could be hiding. Harlan Coben called these books the best series he's read all year, and we could not be more excited to bring readers this third installment in October. Dissolved is a new thriller from crime writing duo Sarah Bladel and Mads Peter Norbo, coming in December. Everything is peaceful in Tommerup, Denmark, until a young mother disappears in the middle of an idyllic summer day. There's no trace of the missing woman, and soon more people begin to go missing. As Chief Superintendent Liam Stark and Superintendent Dia Torp dig in deeper, dark secrets from the victim's past are revealed. Soon, the detective duo know these disappearances must be the work of a serial killer, who seems to be always one step ahead. It's a race against time as more people disappear and horrifying footage of the victims is released. This cat and mouse thriller will be a shoo-in for fans of the Chestnut Man. Next, please. Next, I want to do a few lightning rounds just to tell you about some of new and ongoing series from Crooked Lane that we think will be a huge hit with your patrons. First, we have A Cryptic Clue. This is the first in a series from acclaimed author Victoria Gilbert. A retired librarian takes a job as an archivist for the eccentric book collector Cameron Camp Blue. But when a body is discovered in Camp's library, Jane must use her librarian smarts to clear Camp's name. Perfect for fans of Anthony Horowitz and the Aurora Tea Garden Mysteries, we can't wait to share this new series with our mystery fans. The Body in the Back Garden by Mark Waddell is a queer, cozy debut set on quaint Vancouver Island. Investigative journalist Luke Tremblay never wanted to return to Crescent Cove. It's where his family learned that he was gay and rejected him. But when he inherits his aunt's estate, he hopes to quickly take care of the sale. When a stranger makes wild claims about Luke's aunt and is then found dead in the back garden, Luke must use all his journalistic skills to dig up the truth. And Final Cut by Marjorie McCown, a Hollywood customer stumbles across a dead body on her movie set. Now she must juggle clearing her name and contending with predatory director and producer. Marjorie has spent her entire life in Hollywood working as a customer on movies like Forrest Gump, Apollo 13, and Angels and Demons. Fans of Ellie Cosimano and Nita Prose are going to love this one. Next slide, please. How the Murder Crumbles by Deborah Stanford is a deliciously cozy mystery featuring amateur sleuth Mallory Monroe, who runs a cookie decorating and delivery service in Connecticut. This cozy is perfect for fans of Hallmark, murder, She baked with endearing characters, a picture-perfect small town, and a quaint cookie shop. The town is all abuzz when a murder occurs in Jenny Marth's debut cozy mystery, Take the Honey and Run. Perfect for fans of Amanda Flower, Bailey Briggs. Bailey Briggs is a successful mystery author, but nothing prepares her for discovering a body at her beekeeping grandmother's Honey Buzz Mountain Ranch. She must use her skills to uncover the truth and catch the clever culprit before her grandmother ends up behind bars. Next slide, please. We also have a few returning fan favorite series to keep on your radar. Vicki Delaney's year-round Christmas mystery returns with Have Yourself a Deadly Little Christmas in September. It's beginning to look a lot like Murder in the 6th installment. Teen Killers at Large is the third and final Teen Killers Club thriller from author Lily Sparks. Teen Killer Club was an ITW finalist, a YALSA pick for reluctant readers, and both books 1 and 2 were Junior Library Guild picks. Finally, Raquel Reyes' Caribbean Kitchen Mysteries continues with Barbacoa, Bomba, and Betrayal. Cooking show sensation and amateur sleuth Miriam Quinones Smith is in Puerto Rico filming 3 Kings Day special when she receives an anonymous gift from a potential stalker. Her friends in town quickly agree to help her get to the bottom of it. Next slide, please. And last but certainly not least, we have a few continuing historical mysteries that our readers just can't get enough of. Brilliant botanist Saffron Everly is back and ready for adventure in Kate Kavari's next mesmerizing historical mystery, A Botanist's Guide to Flowers and Fatality. Ashley Weaver called the first book in the series a cleverly plotted puzzle. The Socialist's Guide to Death and Dating by S.K. Golden is the second pinnacle hotel mystery, perfect for fans of Brice Bowman. In 1950s New York City, Evelyn Murphy has made progress with her agoraphobia, but she still prefers her beloved hotel to the city. When a big fundraiser ends in murder, Evelyn must find the killer or be checked out for good. And the third Girl Friday Mysteries from Emily J. Edwards takes readers to New Year's Eve in Manhattan, 1950s. This time, Viviana must juggle the demands of working as a PI in the city with planning for a wedding. Viviana Valentine and the Ticking Clock is perfect for fans of Mad Men and the Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. Next slide, please. And that wraps it up for us today. Thank you so much for taking the time to hear about some of our most anticipated books. If you have any questions, comments, or requests, feel free to send us an email. And if you want to stay up to date on all of our new and upcoming titles, you can sign up for our newsletter at crookedlanebooks.com. And be sure to follow us on social media. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dulce. We'll now hear from Jolene Bartow. Jolene is on the marketing team at Dreamscape, where she works with a talented group of people to produce a catalog of over 1,000 audiobooks a year. Close us out, Jolene.
Thanks so much. And thank you everybody for coming to this webinar today. I'm going to be talking a little bit about the upcoming titles with Dreamscape. And if you want to go to the next slide. Just real quick, I wanted to give a little background on who we are as Dreamscape. We're an independent publisher. We have a catalog of hundreds of best-selling audiobooks. So I'll be speaking specifically about audiobooks in this presentation and mentioning narrators within it as well. Mystery and thriller is one of the top genres within audiobooks especially. So I thought this would be a great webinar to have a chance to talk specifically about the audio format for these titles. Want to go to the next one? All right, we'll just jump right into our new and upcoming audiobooks. And first up is Death by Chocolate Marshmallow Pie. This is part of Sarah Graves' popular A Death by Chocolate mystery series, and it's narrated by Susan Boyce. Death by Chocolate Marshmallow Pie is the perfect cozy with that murder mystery fans I think will love. In the small town of Eastport, Maine, the Chocolate Mousse Bakery faces competition from new rival Chocos. After confronting the sneaky owner, the owner of the Chocolate Mousse Bakery, Ellie, is later found with his gun after he is murdered, leading to her being charged with the crime. Jake and Ellie investigate and uncover the real culprit before it's too late. The next is Deep Tide. In Deep Tide, Layla Breda, a coffee shop owner in Lost Beach, is shaken when she finds one of her employees murdered in the alley behind her shop. FBI agent Sean Moran is on an undercover mission investigating crime syndicates in the area, and Layla's connections in the community prove useful. However, as they both investigate, the case takes a deadly turn. Terry Clark Linden has done an amazing job narrating this series by New York Times bestselling author Laura Griffin, and we have the entire series available in audio from Dreamscape. Next up, we have The Perfect Ones. Instagram influencer Alabama Wood goes missing in Iceland, and the police investigate her two closest influencer friends, Celeste Reed and Holly Goodwin. Celeste has been coping with personal issues involving Alabama in ways no one guessed, while Holly is trying to escape her life behind the screen. Secrets are revealed and loyalties are tested, raising questions about control over our online image. This audiobook features a multicast narration, which allows for each one of the characters to have a unique voice. Patricia Sadamaso, Jess Nahikan, and Elise Arsenault all work together to make this a truly unique listen. Next up, we have The Wrong Good Deed. This is narrated by the talented Mary Boyer, and it's a split-time mystery. In 1964, Christophine discovers her husband and his friends about to commit a heinous crime, and she stops them, which causes her to flee and disappear. 50 years later, Clemmy learns about a dark secret from her friend's past, and realizes her friend has been keeping secrets just like her, with dire consequences for revealing them. Next up, we have Don't Go Down There by Kirsten Moglin. This is from best-selling thriller writer Kirsten Moglin. One thing I will note is we have the privilege of working with a variety of different publishers and independent authors. Kirsten is one of them, and we get also the chance to work with independent publishers such as Crooked Lane, who just presented, and many others, large publishing houses to smaller publishing houses and independent authors. So we're excited to bring Kirsten's books into audio for libraries to have in their collections. Don't Go Down There features narration from award-winning narrator Scott Brick, and Natalie Nodis, and Jesse Blinsky. It follows Andy Edwards, who discovers her husband Spencer isn't where he's supposed to be and isn't answering her calls or texts. A flurry of scenarios races through her head. Is he hurt? Is he cheating? Or is he dead? The truth she soon finds out is so much worse than she could have imagined. As she struggles to make sense of her new and chilling reality, she must decide whether to stand by the man she loves and help protect him, or walk away and let him pay for his sins. With time running out, the secret he has locked in their basement becomes more dangerous, and the spine-chilling truth becomes clear. If she makes the wrong decision, she stands to lose much more than her marriage. Next up, we have Playing It Safe. During the Blitz, Ellie MacDonald is given a new mission by British intelligence to travel to Sunderland under assumed identity. However, before she can meet with Major Ramsey, she witnesses an unnatural death and discovers a connection to a counterfeiting operation run by a high-ranking official who is also helping German spies infiltrate England. Ellie and Major Ramsey must race against time to uncover the spy master's identity and prevent disastrous consequences. Many of you may already know the narrator, Alison Larkin. She's fantastic, and she does an amazing job bringing the entire Electric McDonald series to life. We have the entire series available in audio. I put the other two books in the series down there as well. Next up, we have Board D by Frida McFadden. This is a title that we are not publishing. We are not the publisher, but we work in conjunction with Frida, who's independently published it herself to get this to libraries. So we're very excited to present this. She's an award-winning, best-selling thriller writer. And in this book, medical student Amy Brenner fears for her life while working an overnight shift in the locked psychiatric ward, and patients start to disappear without explanation. So we're really excited that this is coming out May 9th to be able to present this Frida's title to libraries. Next up, we have Murder Off the Books. Author Tess Harrow plans to combine her new book release and bookstore opening into one event to improve her and her daughter's bad reputation from their involvement in murder cases. However, things take a dark turn when her mother's new boyfriend, connected to the deaths of 3 elderly widows, shows up. He is later found dead, and Tess's mother is the prime suspect. Tess must clear her mother's name before it's too late. Award-winning narrator Tanya Eby lends her narration to this cozy mystery that will delight bibliophiles. Next up, we have The Traitor Beside Her. Justine Byrne works as a spy during World War II to find a traitor inside Arlington Hall, a former women's college in Virginia taken over by the U.S. Army. She struggles to trust her colleagues, all of whom are brilliant cryptanalysts working to decode communication from Axis powers, but someone is sharing the Allies' secrets. Justine believes that befriending each suspect is the key to finding the spy, but a frightening attack puts her own life in danger. This historical mystery is expertly narrated by Kimberly M. Weatherall and is a fantastic new historical mystery audiobook. Next up, we have The Bone Riddle. This is narrated by Sarah Naughton, and it starts the scene with American CEO Harlan Quinn building a doomsday bunker in his estate overlooking a gannet bird colony in Cape Kidnappers, New Zealand. When a body is found in the underground bunker, forensic ontologist Alexa Glock is called in to identify the victim as Harlan Quinn. With a stolen cache of weapons and a second homicide, Alexa races against time to find Quinn's murderer before becoming victim number 3. And last, but not least, we have Code of the Hills, which is narrated by George Newbern, fantastic narrator. And in Code of the Hills, we return to character Mick Harden, who finds himself involved in his sister's investigation into the murders of a local mechanic and another victim in his Kentucky town. As Linda, Mick's sister, steps into danger and a third body is discovered, Mick is deputized again to discover evidence of illegal cockfighting and solve the case. Code of the Hills is a thrilling novel of family and protection that's set in the Kentucky Hills. And then next up, I just want to point out, I know we mentioned at the very beginning that we do about 1,000 titles a year. So this is just a small sampling of the mystery and thriller titles that we have available through Dreamscape. I put some notes in here of some really fun ones and some really exciting upcoming mystery and thriller titles. We have everything from cozies to police procedurals to historical thrillers and mysteries. So I definitely go ahead and give them all a listen. If you go to the next slide, I have put a link here, or you can scan this QR code and you can not only sign up for our newsletter where we send out excerpts, audiobook news, and then we also send out links to our NetGalley books that are uploaded there so that you can have instant access to it. But you can also, on that same link, just go ahead and get those NetGalley links and start listening to many of the books that were featured in there here. And there's also a playlist in there as well that features the first chapter of many of the titles, including the ones on the previous slide that we have just a plethora of different styles of mystery and thrillers. Also, if you would like to follow us on social media, I've put all of our handles on here and our links. We would love to chat with you on those channels as well. I believe that is it, other than if you go to the next slide, there is my email address. Would love to hear from you. Would always love to talk about audiobooks. Please feel free to reach out whenever you wish.
Thank you so much, Jolene, and a big thank you to all of today's wonderful presenters. Tomorrow, all attendees will receive an email containing links to today's slide presentation, title list, certificate of completion, and video recording. For more about Booklist webinars, be sure to visit booklistonline.com/webinars, where you can view archives of past programs and register for upcoming ones like those you see here. Recently, ALA's Office for Intellectual Freedom reported 1,269 demands to censor library books and resources in 2022, the highest number of attempted book bans since ALA began compiling data about censorship in libraries more than 20 years ago. Join the Unite Against Book Bans campaign to help protect the freedom to read and to empower readers everywhere. Visit uniteagainstbookbans.org for more information, resources to donate, and more. And remember that you can utilize Booklist to support your library's collection development choices with reviews backed by the American Library Association. We have a special webinar subscription offer, and don't forget that your subscription dollars help ALA advocate on behalf of libraries, assisting those facing an unprecedented number of book challenges. Email us at info@booklistonline.com for more information. Thank you all so much for joining us for today's webinar. One more huge thank you to our panelists and to our sponsors, CamCat Books, Macmillan Library Marketing, ECW Press, Crooked Lane Books, and Dreamscape Publishing. This concludes today's webinar. See you next time.